don't know what happened to me since doing this or whatever, but okay, great card or whatever, right? I am so irrationally mad about Mackenzie Dern.
I would. That's.
I am so I like because I watched it in real time and I was getting angry listening to Joe Rogan talk. I was just like, dude, okay, we get it. Megaton, remember? Yeah, I've
Megaton.
only heard it how many times? Megaton, yeah. Oh, that's a cool name, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, that guy, man, he's a caricature of himself.
Mhm.
That was that. I'll save it. Save it.
No, I actually, since you came in so hot, I already started recording. So I mean,
Oh,
we could start with the
Megan.
Taurus,
Oh,
but
you say it every time, so I know.
yeah,
I mean, what the fuck?
yeah.
Does she get
Joe
points
Rogan
for pulling
called
wedgies? Does she get
that
points for
fight.
pulling wedgies out? I. That's all she was doing. She was like that. She would do a little like that weird little overhand, like UFC one, fucking overhand right, back off, pull out a wedgie.
Pull out.
I'm false hustle. I'm so
False hustle.
mad.
We got the Clay
Fake
Guida
hustle,
movement.
dude. Hustling backwards. Dana White was in the fucking press conference, okay, and so caught him in his bullshit. I mean, no, like no, I'm not gonna be the first person to, okay. They're like, oh man, your boy Hamzat, huh? Oh, what happened there? And he's like, hey, listen, man. Anyone in the top five of their division in the UFC is elite at everything.
No.
You're fucking lying. You're fucking lying to everybody. You're fucking lying because, and it's setting because like as someone like you, who I talk to, who puts a good, who I don't know how much research you put into it or whatever, but when you talk about WMMA, you explain it in a way that is palatable because some people are just they don't like seeing girls fight. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And that's fine. Like
Mhm.
Habib said it. I don't like watching women fight. I would rather them not even be in the arena.
Yeah. For
You know what I mean?
right. Yeah.
Like I just remembered I had a wife. That's how like some guys think about it that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so you and I definitely aren't. We enjoy it, right? WMMA. That sets fucking the sport back. I think fucking decisions like that set the sport back because then it's like a beauty pageant. Then it's a fucking storyline, People magazine grab. And for the women that go into gyms and work their fucking asses off and wanted to fucking be good at their craft, and then to go out and put, she didn't like Tisha Torres didn't fucking and she's not even like my favorite fighter or anything. And yeah, I had money on her. Okay, Papa had a little cash on it, but that it doesn't matter. And yeah,
It
that was
doesn't
the first
matter.
fight to ruin my parlay of the night.
Mhm.
Okay, fine,
Mackenzie
but
Dern won that fight, and I'll let you keep going. I just wanted to throw in like Mackenzie
no, no,
Dern
no, go
won
ahead.
that fight based purely on potential danger. That's it. It wasn't because of
That's it.
damage.
But see, and then that's what I thought too. After okay, then I go calm yourself down, Brandon. Calm yourself
Mhm.
down. There's cash on it. You're getting a little, you know, a little crazy. Um, so then I relax. I'm watching the fight on my phone again. It's like after we get the kids to bed, everything else, it's like 1 in the morning. My wife's like, "You're watching WMMA at 1 o'clock in the morning. You were just watching it. Like, what's wrong with you?"
Yeah, I'm
Because like
start.
you're on your side watching it, the lights on, and she's like, I can see her squint. It's like those are two chicks. Like, what's the deal with you, dog?
Kenny's
And
starting to
I'm
rub
like, oh,
off on you.
just yeah. And then you hear like, oh, is Megaton Diaz's daughter? And my wife's like, Megaton, what the fuck?
I mean,
What's
well, like
yours?
Mackenzie Dern is her wrestling is so deficient still that
That is terrible.
she's having to resort to
My
like
10-year-old daughter can wrestle better than that.
yeah,
Dude.
she's pulling guard against the cage, and I mean, if you got to pull guard, pull guard. But like they're treating it like she's being so elite, where it's like no, she's having to do that. She's having to hold on to a Kimura. That's also taking a lot of energy out of her being sideways, hanging onto another person with nothing to really anchor yourself on. Like it's a lot of weight for Tisha Torres to carry. But I really think that like Mackenzie Dern's probably hitting her ceiling in this division because most girls at the top five at strawweight are going to punish her for not being able to get the fight to the ground. And Tisha
They're gonna
Torres
kick
did
the
tonight.
shit out of her in the
Yeah,
top 10.
yeah.
They
Tisha
should kick
Torres's
the shit out of
lateral
her.
movement was
And
giving her
Tisha, the
fits.
oblique kicks. Yeah, the oblique kicks were really good. That was like John Jones style shit, kicking her, keep you doing that fucking with the heel, the inside heel. That was, I was like, ooh, that's fucking sexy. That I like that.
Yeah.
And but like one of the highlights was Mackenzie Dern getting trying to take down and then getting kicked in the throat 3 feet back against the fence, and then the fucking commentators like, man, all around a game. Oh, she's just leaps and bounds,
No,
bro.
man.
And then there was one this one of the saddest things that hurt my heart was she was trying to single leg. Her knees are completely together, her heels are completely together. She's just trying to pull Tisha Torres' foot in. You just see the foot from the back, and then she's like, okay, get off me now. Like, you cannot be top five in the UFC in any division, male, female, whatever, and have a takedown look that bad,
Mm.
that bad, and
Yeah.
then win the fight. She won the second round, oh, for sure, dude,
Yeah.
for sure.
Probably a
Second
ten
round.
eight. Yeah.
That's, yeah, maybe, yeah. But then they're talking about like, well, she was trying to. Okay, but does the other person who on potential of danger that got out of it, like, yeah, she was a danger, she got out of it,
Yeah.
does that not count for anything?
Yeah.
Like, jiu-jitsu works two ways. You don't turn into a dummy and then let that person do it until, and if they don't do it, then you get back up. No,
Mm.
you're trying to get out of it too. And like, we'll talk about Gilbert Burns being such a good jiu-jitsu practitioner and how that helped him in the scrambles and the grambling, and it's something I need to apologize for. We'll talk about later on. But it goes like, your jujitsu defense is part of mixed martial arts too,
Exactly.
isn't it? You had a
Exactly.
person like Mackenzie Dern trying on your back,
Mm.
got out of it.
Yeah.
Had you fucking up against the fence with your in that fucking Detroit Heat style fucking armbar, got the fuck out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that doesn't count for anything. And then, oh man,
And I mean,
one of the highlights was her.
people will preach position over submission all day, and Mackenzie Dern
Right.
doesn't believe in that whatsoever. She will sacrifice
Yeah.
any position to chase a potential submission, and I think
Right.
that, like in a lot of other cases, we could bring up Cyril Gahn going for that freaking leg lock against Francis
Right.
Ngannou. You know what I mean? It didn't pay off, so it's like how much. I'm not like I'm a fan of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Like that's what got me into the
Oh,
sport,
big time.
and like
Huge.
so I think there's definitely
What started the
value.
sport?
I think there's definitely a value in submission attempts, but like I think really there was a key lock attempt that like Mackenzie Dern just totally surrendered any potential strong position for. I mean that's what she had to pull guard for, and she was like literally
Yeah.
horizontal, like up, like hanging up against the cage, like positioning herself with her feet. And yeah, I just think like she was being rewarded because it's like a stand-up fighter who's not landing anything on the feet being rewarded because he was able to keep the
Right.
fight on the feet but not land anything there. It's like, well, just because he has the potential to do more damage there doesn't mean you should be rewarding that potential. You got to reward actual damage done, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. Dude, well, thank you so much for being level headed and um, putting it the way you just did.
Uh-huh.
Because, like, when someone is irrationally upset, like I am right now, and then, like, it kind of like, you can't see the forest from the trees the way that I'm talking, or I feel. I'm getting a little too emotional. Thank you for breaking it down that way. Because it's like, and then it's so weird because, okay, Shumayev and Burns, one of the better fights we've seen in a long time. Volkanovski, amazing fucking championship performance, up and down. Card up and down. There was guys, you know,
And
guys and gals that
and
did a great job.
a
I watched
really
that fight 3 times. Why?
yeah, like I said, I'm rubbing off on you,
Why?
man. I must be rubbing off on you. And you know what? Fun
Ah,
fact too. Like, this was a very, very entertaining card, despite the fact that, and I don't think a lot of people actually noticed this. All the fights other than the main event on the main card went to decision. It was like
right.
all
You
decisions,
brought that
and,
up.
and normally,
Yeah.
and normally, like people would probably think like, dude, that was what it's a tough night of fights to watch, but it flew by. I mean, it was a late card because of all the decisions.
It
Um,
did. It felt like it did, but you didn't really like. Damn, I've been here 4 fucking hours,
if the
six
fights if
fucking
the
hours.
fights delivered, it's just not a big deal. And on verdict, when I was initially making my picks on verdict, like I'll go through before I start, like I look at all my picks made, I'll go through and just make them one by one and not really thinking about like, oh, this is what I had for the last one. So I'd finished putting in all my picks. I think there was like eight fights to pick from, or 9 fights possibly. And then after I finished making the last pick, I kind of clicked back to kind of like see what I decided on everything, and I didn't realize I had picked all decisions. And so I had that moment thinking like, well, surely they're not all going
Wow.
to, they're not all going to decision
You're
because
gonna
that's
do it. It was
crazy.
the one.
So I went and I switched a few of them. And
Yeah.
so I had like a couple finishes that I called, which were wrong,
Ah,
but
that always sucks when you go back and you're like, that's not right. That's like when you're on a test and you pick all C, and you're like, it
exactly.
can't be all C, and then it turned out it was all C.
That's exactly it. And I mean, I mean, some of them I just plain picked the wrong fighter, even if I chose it to be to stay by decision. But yeah, man, it was.
Or did you? I mean, in some of these decisions, did you pick the
Well,
wrong fighter?
well, I got a gold belt on verdict because I picked Hamzat Shemaev by decision. It was
Ooh.
just I put all my points on that, and I was like, well, you know
Yeah,
what?
I've got to figure out a way to get my kid. I got to figure out a way to get my kid baseball cleats because I lost cash. So thanks again,
Yeah,
Mackenzie Dern.
Tisha Torres
Good
literally
gold belt,
taking
good
gear
for
off
you.
your daughters. Yeah. So
Well, thank God I live in California. I'll just fucking shoplift it and just walk out.
just head up to the Bay Area and just be flagrant about it.
Yeah, just go to CVS and you'll just see me running out. Home and away colors.
So I wanted to ask you the way I was planning to start this episode out. Let me pull up my notes. Um, who do you think was the biggest winner coming out of UFC 273? And then we could just go ahead and start from there and discuss that fight and move around from there. Who do you think is the
Oh,
biggest winner? Who's the
gotta
biggest
walk me
takeaway?
into the answer you want.
Oh
The
no, I'm
the
not really
biggest
sure.
winner, the biggest winner career wise. There's two, and you probably wouldn't realize it. Um, I would say the biggest winner career wise, of course, is Aljo,
Okay,
just
I
because
agree.
like his he's. I don't think Peter Yan lost as much as you would think he did, but and that's his own fault. He fucking lost. But again, and then Volkanovski for legacy type, and like a lot of people, because I don't like it now because a lot of people, and I'm sorry to jump around in it, and we can just like I'll throw my point in on one, and then we'll start. I guess we go back to the Aljo fight, or what did you
Well,
want to,
let,
however you
let's
wanted to do it.
let's go ahead and talk about the Aljo fight since we started there. You think Aljo's the biggest
Yeah,
the biggest winner of the night, and I agree with you. I wasn't trying to lead you into anything or to see like if you agreed with me,
no, I know, I know.
but yeah, I kind of agree, and it's mostly because of that validation. It's because of how many people were writing him off. You and I both
Yeah,
picked against him as the fight
I
drew
did
as the
first time ever, and I lost.
and yeah, it sucks. I have a history of picking against Aljamain Sterling. He's a guy who's like
Yeah,
historically flew under my radar. And
yeah.
leading up to Saturday, Mike was kept
Also,
kept
can I
telling
say,
me,
can I? I don't want to stop you, but I was kind of thrown off because they both wore black kits. Because
did they?
they were like the championship black. They both wore it. Yeah, and you know how I knew they both did? Because I always look for Ray Longo's tits, and you can't see it in the black, which is why we wear black. And I was like,
Exactly. Ray
you
Longo
got it,
knows.
dude. Ray Longo pulled that because
Yeah.
he's got those big Long Island sloppers on him,
Uh
and
huh.
I always like it. And when he's like walking down the fucking aisle, I'm always like when Chris Weidman used to fight, and I was like, God damn, Mama's got some sloppers on her. He looks like he works at a fucking Long Island diner.
Yeah,
And he's
dude.
just like freshen up your coffee there, but he's teaching these guys fucking
Yeah, Ray
like
Longo looks.
elite kickboxing. His kickboxers have beat Anderson Silva,
Ray
and he's going
Longo's
down there with these titties just fucking
Ray Longo has
flaring.
some real key wins as a coach. I mean, he
Yeah,
coached Matt Serra
crazy.
to that upset over
GSP,
GSP, Chris Weidman over Anderson
Anderson
Silva.
Silva,
Now
Aljamain
Aljo,
Sterling,
it's amazing.
Adrian.
Ev- every corner needs a Ray Longo, and we're really jumping around on this fight too. But like, dude, there was a moment after round two, the first round, where Aljo definitely like pretty close to getting a 10-8, just completely controlled him. He
Right.
was walking back to his corner, and obviously, hands on his hips, recovering, ready to get receive information from his corner. And Ray Longo's like, no, 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 look at that motherfucker! Look at
Yeah,
what you did to him! Look at what he's
Look
going through.
inside with that fucking New York accent.
I love
Also,
it,
it throws
dude.
me off with that New York accent too, because he's like, "This guy's gonna get a sausage at the Yankee thing." That's how he sounds, and you're just like, "Excuse me, sir." It jars you. It
Yeah.
jars you. The New York accent like that, it's really like a whoa,
Hmm.
damn, like
Yeah.
that's some fucking that hard people. Those people are some hard fucking people. Ray Longo is a hard man,
They're dealing with some
and
hard
those
winners.
titties are a badge of honor.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'd hate to see him go.
Yeah,
But Aljamain Sterling gets it done. He's validated. after so many people were calling him an actor. And I know we touched on this in the pre-show, in the breakdown, but it's like it's one of those deals where it's like we have to remember he really did eat that knee, and it really was illegal. And there was nobody talking about, "Oh, take a point from Yan to incentivize Sterling to continue." Obviously, we didn't run into that situation here, and it looks like there was definitely some truth to the fact that Aljamain Sterling probably wasn't feeling 100% in the first fight because he
Yeah.
turned it around. And I rewatched that first fight in between our previous episode and when the fight happened, and honestly, that first fight was a lot closer than I gave it credit for. Like I think the knee foul and the bad stoppage, well, not a bad stoppage, but all the drama surrounding that really managed to cloud my vision of what that fight actually was. And I started getting close to turning around. I didn't ultimately change my pick on verdict because that would be the only way to prove that. Like I could say like, oh, you know what? Actually, I changed my decision at the last minute or whatever. But no, it's on the record. You know, we both picked Peter Yan, and Peter Yan didn't look bad. It was
I
a
think he
razor.
did.
It was a razor sharp fight, a razor close decision. And like you mentioned, Peter Yan's not going anywhere. He has a future in this division. I don't know. What do you think about the T.J. Dillashaw call out?
That was weird. I think I mentioned it to you in the group or our chat that we have. Like, he didn't even realize. It's so funny because the cameras are on there when they do the call outs. So like, I'm sure the cameramen and the car were like, okay, let's find like is Cejudo here? Or like, you know what I mean? Like, you know,
True.
it's like something like
Got
that
to know where
happened.
they're at. Yeah.
Like, no one was gonna know he was gonna do TJ. So then like even the camera kind of like goes, oh fuck this way, and then TJ goes, oh yeah, oh, and then he goes, oh yeah, I'll do it. Like he was just like, Aljo, fuck yeah. And then he's like, thank you. Like
Please
no
don't
one's
make me
gonna get
fight
it.
Aldo.
Yeah, no one. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, he does not want to fight. Oh, man. TJ Dillashaw just got thrown the life raft of all fucking life rafts. He does not
Absolutely.
deserve it. He doesn't. I mean, if he beat Aldo, um, beat even go through Peter Yan, go do one of those deals and then get it. He's about two fights away, two good fights away, two good opponents
If you
than
want
he
to
could even be.
if you want to kind of punish TJ a little bit, like
He
proper, you know what I
should.
mean?
He's not John
There's
Jones.
there's a guy named Merab Dvalishvili still out there, like
Yeah,
sitting at around number 7 or number 8 of that division too, and that's a motherfucker. Anybody who beats Merab right now is definitely like I'm considering them well within title contention. You know?
he's the guy that everyone's ducking. He's the
Yeah,
Hamzat of that division,
yeah.
where everyone's just gonna duck him until they can't.
Yeah, but in truth, I do think that the road to a title right now at bantamweight goes through Jose Aldo.
Yeah,
I think he's the guy who's really earned it, and he called out TJ too. That's what really hurt about that call out is like,
yeah,
guy, you're just taking Aldo's fight away. Like Aldo wasn't even
yeah.
calling you out. He was more than willing to be like, we'll let that whole
Play the
the
game.
title
Yeah,
picture play itself, work itself out. Give me a guy like TJ who's really out here trying to like, he's
that's
not
the
gonna.
perfect man. I still think Shelby and I Dana like pan to Dana. Dana's all nope.
Liability.
Dana was already on the phone like fucking getting them their fucking Spirit airline tickets to wherever they're gonna fly, like or whatever he gives these fighters. But it was like, what the hell, dude? TJ Dillashaw, and then he moaned like he had that open. She's like, oh yeah, daddy, daddy. And like, what are you doing? Aljamain is so weird, dude. And before this fight, or before the last fight, I was, dude, uh, all the love that I had for Korean Zombie, like it gets the love that you have as a fan kind of gets transferred to these guys as they go up or down, or you know what I mean? Like
Mm,
you have like these weird like feelings like as far as like who you like and who you're watching. So I was like, man, Aljo's so cool, and he's under the radar. And like I used to think like, oh, he could be like a funky style John Jones, and that could be really cool to see. And I'm gonna start betting on him now, and then get in on it early so I can say I was a fan of his
mm,
early on. And then it just got weird and cringe, and it's like, dang, dude, why are you doing this?
mm,
But talk about the fight though. Like, so all that aside, Peter Yan's style it lends itself to this. When we talked in the last one, like, where do you think Aljo could win? He can win it. He could steal it early, and that's
mm,
what he did.
mm.
Just because you fucking train at Tiger Muay Thai, and the Thais like to take the first round off, You have 5 rounds, not, you know, this isn't, and then they're not, you know, he does that Muay Thai thing where he takes the early round to read and download, and
Mhm.
Volkanovski does that where you see him read and download, but then he reacts within about 15, 20 seconds,
Yeah.
not the whole fucking round, dog. So it's like, come on, dude, like you just gave him that. You could have, because he landed a good body kick in the, and then he landed about 8 really heavy punches in that first round.
Mhm.
And if he would have added on to that and scored a little bit, you know, added a couple like passing shots or out of when he's backing away a jab or two, he evens it out, and then he can win that round, and then it looks a lot closer at the end.
Mhm.
He just he I think he thinks a little too much of himself in the early spots, to where he's like, I'm just gonna fuck him up anyway, so it doesn't matter. No, those points matter early on, dude.
They really do. Yeah, they build up. Um, I think that for Piotr Yan, it was kind of interesting. Later in the fight, I want to say around round 4 and 5, I was kind of yelling at my TV because he kept going for that weird step aside trip thing that where he
Yeah,
kind of like
exactly.
leaps in and it just wasn't working. Like,
Usman does that sometimes.
yeah, he got denied like 3 times at least that I noticed when I started to notice he was going for that. Um, and I felt like it was nice to see that Aljamain Sterling had made those adjustments because
And
really
so that camp is good. His camp is good at that
yeah,
scoring. That I it's Sit Yotong, right? Or what's the name of their,
Sit Yotong, yeah, I think
yeah,
you got it right,
Sit
yeah.
Yotong is like those guys are they Delagrati, those guys, they know the
Hmm.
fucking game, and they know how the judges work. They know how they fucking what judges look at. They know what you got to do to score.
Hmm.
And I think Jan went, and then okay, let's talk about it. His corner wasn't there for him, or wasn't
Exactly.
allowed visas.
Hmm.
Sit your tongue's fucking right. He got to train right there in fucking in New York with Raging Al and all those guys, and Jan was like going like fucking Street Fighter, fucking flying to the globe and blah blah blah, trying, you
Right.
know, and that looks cool in a TV show, but like, you know, you need that comfort,
You
that
need
home
some
cooking sometimes.
stability, yeah. And I mean, Aljamain Sterling had the full support of all the aces in his up his sleeve. You know what I mean? He had
Yeah,
Marab in his corner, Longo, Raging Ally Quinta. So yeah, he definitely wasn't lacking. And it looked like if I recognize him, I'm forgetting the guy's name right now, but Peter Yan had a couple coaches from at least one coach from American Top Team that I recognize, but I'm
yeah,
blanking on his name right now. So yeah, that was definitely an issue. I think Aljamain Sterling made the right adjustment and really forcing it to be a grappling match and finding his openings this time around and not letting Peter Yan find the rhythm on the feet because that's what I think in on the feet Peter Yan still landed the more impactful strikes.
yeah,
Because a lot of what Aljamain was throwing was kind of to manage distance. Still, he had a couple really nice jump knees in there though,
yeah.
that really gave Peter Yan some different looks. But really, it was about just throwing in or mixing in enough takedowns to make Peter Yan
2 out of 22.
2 out of 22, right?
Yeah.
But threatening with him, dude. He was doing like weird deep takedown feints where it's
Yeah,
like he would literally come in at like 3/4
that Randy
speed
push
and
referred to it. He was
dip
doing
in,
that.
hug your waist, and then dip
Yeah,
back out and be like, "I did that just to show you that I could fucking do it." And you
yeah.
didn't do
That was
anything about,
that like
yeah,
old school Mark Coleman shit. That like,
exactly.
I'm going in and coming over, buddy. Here you go. Like
Yeah.
fucking. Yeah, that was crazy, man. And I mean, it did. So let's go back to um, like we're talking about it earlier with the two gals that were fighting earlier, where the intent to inflict damage. So like he was doing, he had a favorable position, but he was every single, so he got the back, locked in the body triangle, turned him the right way, was turning him this way, head dipping him, chain arming for the choke, moving his head, manipulating his arms, grabbing his wrist, fighting off. He was actually doing something with his position, and it was inflicting damage while he was doing it. I'll take that as Brazilian Jiu Jitsu scoring
Mhm.
in a fight, because that looked great, and you could see that like Peter Yan's a mean little fuck, and he's crazy, and but he got up, and then it was like fuck, like I don't want to do that shit again. And then when he did it again, it's like fuck, Like, god damn, dude, because you know that shit was working on him. So
Isn't it so funny what the difference between what 22 takedown attempts looks like at bantamweight versus what it looks like when Curtis Blades does it at heavyweight, dude?
yeah,
The
yeah,
aftermath, like when I saw that
yeah.
number, that's a stat that jumped out to me too. It was like, wow,
And it
like,
was a legit number. I'll go no,
mm,
no. They're counting like him grabbing the at the leg as one, or him pushing up against the cage, or like it's like one takedown, and he tried three different levels maybe on one, and they're counting those. Nope, it was pretty. I mean, there's a few there where they kind of pad it, but
yeah,
it was 22 times he tried to. There's obvious like what his
yeah,
he knew he cannot stand in the pocket with Peter Yan. That was obvious.
yeah, and he capitalized when he got those two takedowns. Also,
Right.
it's like one of the best forms of striking defense is a wrestling offense threat. Even if you're not following through on it, that's enough to really to to throw off a guy like Peter Yan striking. But I think Peter Yan can come back strong. I think there. I don't want to see it right away, but I think there's money in a rematch there, and I think he's going to get there. So I'm really interested to
It's
see how
exciting
this.
because it opens it up for Yan to fight a myriad of people to get back up there. So he's gonna get a chance to kill Aljamain's corner. Like
Hell
he's gonna,
yeah, we could see a Merab Dvalishvili fight. I mean,
yeah, you
that's
talked a little shit there, dog.
fuck. Yeah,
Go
dude.
ahead and do it.
Yeah, and Marab played it like a professional. He's like, I don't know why they bring a team into this, but if they want
Yeah,
after fight, we can do this. And I'm like, fuck,
yeah,
that's a guy who you don't. Yeah, that's not fucking pro wrestling. I don't think they had.
yeah.
I don't think they had any pro wrestling where he came from in Georgia.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, to be
Or,
fair,
or if they do,
Peter
they probably
Yan.
still think it's real. But
Yeah, yeah. Peter Yan's comes from a pretty rough area. Siberia is like that's like a running joke. Like Rocky went there to like harden himself.
mm.
So he went to like Peter Yan's front yard to like get better. So there was some rough dudes in that fucking division, dude.
So we can move on and let's talk about the main event. I do have one specific question that I
Yeah,
wanted to pitch to you regarding the
yeah.
main event. Is Volkanovski peaking, or did we just see Korean Zombie officially starting
He's
to
peaking.
fall off?
He's Korean Zombie has fallen off.
Mm,
I don't think it's any. If he hadn't, he would. They would have fought in March. You know, if he had, but he like hobbled into this one. He was hurt. We talked about it. I mean,
mm-hmm,
he's still good. I mean, that doesn't. It's hard to say it this way because it makes it seem like he's just not good. He didn't deserve. He deserved to be out there. He it wasn't like he did not deserve to be out there at any way. Like what the fuck? You just
yeah,
threw it to him. He's a
yeah.
he might. Oh,
nobody was going to be saying like, whoa, 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 hold on now. Korean Zombie's only fifth ranked in this division. Let's
well, they're
not.
saying
Let's
it now.
yeah.
They're saying it now. The day after, man, he shouldn't have even. Bitch, you were
No.
saying before like Korean Zombie, don't sleep on him.
Exactly.
Don't
Yeah.
sleep on
I
him.
mean, I was going into this fight saying like, who could ask for a better late replacement fight than this? Like a
Yeah,
top five ranked guy who's has a storied history in this division. But
yeah,
yeah,
and he's. I mean, if he would have won tonight, first ballot Hall of Famer, or last night, it would have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. Amazing. One of the biggest Asian MMA athletes, you know, to be to ever live. I mean, his
hmm
what he does in South Korea, like how his fame there. I don't think people really realize
hmm
that like he's like the guy in South Korea. Like
yeah,
that's the guy
he
right
has
there.
like pop. He has pop stars like handling his social media. That's like if you're
Yeah,
Aljamain Sterling over here and you get like
Billie
Drake
Eilish is like
or
yeah, doing
something.
your
Yeah,
fucking
like Drake's over here like translating your tweets and posting for you on social media.
yeah,
Like that's huge.
exactly. Like Kim Kardashian's doing a photo shoot for your fucking Christmas post. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, people don't realize like how, and it's such a trip because Americans are like so fucking what? Like no, dude. Like 80% of the country this man is in knows who he is,
Hmm.
and like we'll talk about him at some point. Like that's insane.
Yeah.
Like cultures of like generations of people like look up to this guy. That's insane.
That's true,
And
and it
Volkanovski made him look like, like that must be so weird for everyone in South Korea. Just like, what? Oh my god! Because and like,
like the
and
gift that
then
you sold me. Stop! He's already
yeah, yeah,
dead. Like,
he's already dead. Just the fucking the crusty
oh my
burglar
god.
just taking it. Just like golly, and and then there's a moment in the fight. This is how like I Volkanovski's so transcendently good. Um, because he was just like concerned. Like he even like he didn't like they were trying to talk to him in his corner, and he's like, wait, and he's like, is he okay?
Yeah.
And he's like, is he all right? And then he's like, nah, mate, is that cunt all right over there? They're like, nah, dude, he's good.
He's
All right,
Kane.
cut, let's go, cunt. And then he just went like this. He's like, and then he just went and fucking ended this whole
Guess I
man's
gotta just go
career.
kill this man.
Yeah.
If you're Korean Zombies corner, do you send him out there for the fourth round?
Yeah, you have to.
I had a feeling I knew your answer on this one. I think you're a
You
little bit.
do,
I'm a
you
little bit more
do.
conservative about it, but
Also, because of what we were just talking about, where Volkanovski knows.
mhm.
Volkanovski's not gonna. He's good enough to not kill him.
Volkanov,
If
yeah.
that makes
That
sense.
if there's somebody like who's as good as anybody, who's potentially the number one pound for pound in the world right now, which we'll talk
Yeah,
about that
as
too.
it stands.
That's also somebody who you are like supremely safe with, like who's
Yeah,
going to
isn't
actually
that weird?
take care of
Yeah, I
you.
got you there, cunt.
Uh
Got
huh.
you there, you dirty cat. Like he won't let him hit the back of his head on the floor. Like he would grab the back of his head and then like baby him down. Like
It's like
okay,
that
come get him.
that post. I think one might have posted it. But like our Muay Thai referees like the best in the business or whatever, and it showed them all like
Yeah,
falling down with fighters to
yeah,
keep them from like,
catching
an
him.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But Herb Dean, good stoppage.
It was
It was we don't see that in MMA often, but he knew like okay,
not
Korean
in a
Zombie's too tough
championship
for his own
fight.
good.
Not in a championship fight.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing too. Is like um, he was that good. This is a championship fight. It was a deserved championship fight. Everybody before, everyone now, our culture, especially like sports media culture, is going to say, what was he doing in there? And why did they do this to him? And Volkanovski's Holloway's going to fucking get his revenge. Blah, blah, blah. No, dude. This was a totally justified. They gave Zombie a month to heal up from whatever he was dealing with in March, so that he could be at his top form. He was like saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna show why Asian fighters, don't get a shot, and I'm gonna take this." And okay, dude, what he did, that's insane. And we're talking like we've been alluding to it, like number one in the world with 1A and 1B with Usman. Usman's amazing,
Mhm.
best fighter on the planet. But as the globe is spinning right now, Alexander Volkanovski's the best just because he's gone through the train. Give Usman a training camp, give him a worthwhile opponent, he'll go. But I will say, and this is really hard to do, but Volkanovski looks like the perfect fucking mixed martial arts fighter. The
In
perfect
dis,
fighter.
Despite the fact that his frame is like his only limiting factor, like the
Right.
fact that like even for a featherweight, he's kind of short. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you worry about how he's going to deal with. I mean, we saw how Brian Ortega like towered over him. It was just like
Yeah.
such an imposing look. We see it in other divisions like Hamzat Shemaev looked with Gilbert Burns. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But yeah, you're right. Volkanovski, like that does not matter. It's not a factor. He's short. He's a tree trunk. He's still gonna. He's
He could beat Charles Oliveira.
uh
I
huh.
think he could beat Charles
I
Oliveira.
think so too. And
Yeah,
he
I think
and
he
he
could beat
alluded to
any of
that.
those guys.
And he alluded to being willing to move up to lightweight, which I
I
wasn't
can't.
expecting. I was
I can't
surprised
wait to
by
see
that.
that. I would love to see that. He should, and there would be no any loss he took would be no.
Hmm.
It would be no like if he lost to like a Dustin Poirier, you'd be like, oh, okay,
Which I'd
you
pick
know.
him in that fight. I
Yeah,
would I
I
would
would
pick him
too.
against Poirier. Let's go ahead and run down. Let me pull up the lightweight rankings and I'll name them off to you and then let me know if you think
I
that.
would love to see Volkanovski, Conor McGregor. I would fucking love to see that fight. Would you? He said like, fuck him. He's stupid. He's not gonna like it. I wouldn't fight him,
But
but
he's
I'd like to see that fight.
he'll get paid anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Give him the money.
Let's see. Pull up these rankings. Oh, I wish I had lightweight rankings ready. Where are we at? Lightweight. Okay. Starting from number 10, and we'll go up, and we'll see if you pick. We'll see if you pick him. Arman Sarukian at number 10 at lightweight against
Ooh,
Volkanovski.
that fight will never happen, but ooh, that'd be a really good one to watch. They
uh,
they won't do it, but he wouldn't do it. Why would he do? Volkanovski's not stupid. He's not
that's
gonna
true.
do
We should probably start at number 5
No,
because
no,
yeah,
no.
you're
I
right.
like this though. I like it though, because
Okay.
like hearing the names, it's like it's like when we're a kid, and then you can like go in there and like make your own shoe, or like you like but you're never gonna fucking buy it. But
Yeah, that's
that,
true. It's a
ooh,
good
that was
point.
a good
It's
one.
like, damn,
That was a good one.
the DBZ custom painted shoes, the Air Force
Yeah.
Ones, Air
Oh my
Force One.
god. The Gohan's Super Saiyan kit. Like, oh.
Number 9, Gregor
Yeah.
Gillespie.
Nope.
No.
I mean, I would like to, all of them in the Volkanovski fighting anyone in the top 10. I would love to see it,
Yeah,
but no, he would
he would beat
win.
Gregor.
He'd beat Gregor Gillespie.
Number 8, this is a good one. Rafael Fiziev.
Ooh, he'd beat Fizzy.
Number 7, Rafael dos Anjos. He'd beat
Ooh,
RDA. RDA's as game as they
dang! I would
come.
take RDA. RDA would be like, "Oh, you're a veteran." Like,
Uh,
dang. Ooh, that's ninja. That's like ninja shit. They like throw the smoke
like...
and like RDA.
He's still standing
Dang.
there. He's not
Yeah,
gonna
he's.
re. Yeah, RDA would be like, "Oh, you're a featherweight champion. That's cute."
Hey.
Number 6, Iron Michael Chandler.
That would be good. He would beat Chandler, just because he he has the gas tank that's better functionally in his head. Like Chandler would get into these situations where it's like, okay, that's kind of wild what you just, and then size wise it evens out.
He'd counter the fuck out of Chandler.
Dude, Michael Chandler would be a high. I think that he should do that. He's like, I want to fight Chandler, then I want to fight the champ.
Yeah.
Yeah, do that, because then it would be like a highlight reel for Volk going into the title, which I don't think he would have to do a tune or like a prove it to me fight. I think he justifies good, just go fight Oliveira. I think he's justified in doing that.
And you know what? There's a stat that I saw that I kind of forgot about, but I can verify it right now. Last night was Volkanovski's first. Yeah, it was his first finish win since 2018 when he finished Chad Mendes with punches by TKO in round two.
Shit, before that, what I didn't realize was um, Peter Yan hasn't finished anybody since what, 2018, 2019 also.
Let me check that out. Peter Yan last finish, 2020 ground and pound over Jose Aldo. I'm surprised that happened in 2020. That felt like it was so long ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was that. And then before that, he had the head kick finish over Faber. He's got some finishes sprinkled in there. But yeah, I think the sky's the limit for Volkanovski if he decides to make it run at lightweight. I don't want to see it yet. Lightweight is plenty exciting enough. It's stacked
Yeah.
enough as it is. I think anybody who really would like to see that right now are probably people who are just massive Volkanovski fans and want to see him do it for his legacy.
Yeah.
I don't want to see the featherweight division take a blow like that and lose a fighter like Volkanovski.
Right.
I'm an MMA fan in the fact that I get excited about divisions getting stronger. Like
Mm.
I obviously have my favorite fighters, but I get really excited when I could look at a division, I'll pull up a top 15 or top 20 on Tapology and take a look and be like, wow, there's these guys who are really coming up. This division's going to start getting really interesting. Like that's what really excites me about mixed martial arts, because then I can start to get excited about fights that I would have no investment in either way, because I'm thinking like, and that's what really started my excitement for women's mixed martial arts also, is because
Yeah.
for the longest time I was just looking at strawweight as like, which one of these bitches is going to get it from Joanna? You know what I mean? I'm thinking about like how, who are going to be the next,
Right.
and she kind of
And
like,
along the way, you found your
and you just
niche.
build an appreciation. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Joanna, I mean, we'll talk about Joanna later, but
Mm.
yeah. So for featherweight, I really don't want to see Volkanovski go that soon.
Right.
But he does have some really big key legacy wins at featherweight already. He already has a win over Aldo. He already has a win, 2 wins over Max Holloway. So he's already beat
He would end
two.
Max Holloway's career. Max Holloway needs to be careful.
I would give
I
him
think
the
Max
sweep.
Holloway would be like, "Yeah, dude, you should probably go up there." I mean, I've heard they're not that rough up there. I've done it.
It is
It's
what
not
it
that
is,
bad.
bro.
Poirier wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I have that in my notes also. If they go ahead and do that trilogy fight within 2022, I think
He
Volkanovski is
wants
going to
to.
get the
What
sweep.
I had heard in a random, because you never really pay attention until their fights come up. That's the thing about fighters, is that they're not always in the news cycle, but they still kind of do podcasts or interviews in between. And one of the things he said would be like, and one of the things I really like about him was he was like, I want to fight like a lot. Like he's like, I don't give a fuck, dog. Like I'm down to fight a lot.
You talking about
And
Volkanovski or
yeah,
Holloway?
yeah,
Okay, yeah. Go.
Volkanovski. And he's like, I want to fight a lot. Like I want to fight. I'll fight anyone. Yeah, he's like, I really don't care. Like I want to just win, fight and win. I want to be known as the best that
Mm.
ever walked, and that's great. And one of the things he said was like, well, what's and then it was just when it was before the original pullout for Korean Zombie came, where he's like, I'm a little too hurt from March. Let's go. Like he had been already thinking about March. He's like, dude, I wanted to fight fucking January. So and then like,
He
well,
said he
what's
wants
next?
to
He's like, I
fight two
want,
more times this year.
yeah, and he's like, I want to fight with Izzy International Fight Week. I want City Kickboxing to fucking own International Fight Week, which they very well can coming up in July. So it's just
Kai
like,
Car
and he's like,
France.
damn.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. So it's like, oh man, and then so if Holloway wants to, and then July, you can't tell me Holloway's not gonna be ready and like needing a fight
Yeah.
by then. So
Yeah.
man,
Yeah. He could
be
wrap.
careful, man.
He could wrap up his trilogy with somebody who is like. I mean, you still have to put. I mean, there's only been four featherweight champions, which is kind of crazy to think about. He's not going to get a fight with Connor because Connor's just never coming back to featherweight. Otherwise, that would be a nice feather in Volkanovski's cap to be able to say that
Yeah,
he beat every former featherweight champion. But there's still plenty of guys for him to make his name off that division. Let me pull
yeah.
up the featherweight rankings too, if I
It's
can.
good. I was looking at him earlier. It's good. It's not like bare. The cupboard is definitely not bare right there.
Calvin Cater has that had just is coming off of that really impressive win over Giga Chikadze where he elbowed his fucking
Yeah.
face in.
Another guy.
Arnold Allen and
Arnold
Josh
Allen was
Emmett.
absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
Josh Emmett's been deserving for 2 years now.
yeah.
Um, so
And
there's still
I hope they don't make those guys fight each other to get to
right.
Volkanovski.
Yeah.
Ideally, I think you would probably want to put Josh Emmett in there or Arnold Allen in there with Brian Ortega, maybe,
Yeah.
since Brian Ortega is coming off that loss with Volkanovski.
Yeah.
Um,
Ortega Emmett, that would be a very good fight.
it would be a great
They're,
fight.
they both, because then they both want to throw some
Hell yeah.
chingazos. Those guys both want to chuck them. So that'd be good.
While I'm looking at the featherweight rankings right now, I wanted to circle back to Korean Zombie for just a sec.
Yeah.
If after the fight, in his post-fight interview, he kind of alluded a little bit to the idea that he might be contemplating retirement, which
I would
honestly
be
is
too.
understandable.
Goddamn.
He got
Yeah.
the brakes beaten off of him pretty bad. But if
Yeah.
he sticks around, or if he has, I won't even say one more in him. If he just decides to keep fighting, how much farther down in the rankings do you want to see him fight for a comeback fight?
Some of the guys you just named, like they're going to Korea, right? The UFC isn't it planned, or
I
they're
have no
going? Because
idea.
we know
They're
we're
going to
talking about them going to
Singapore.
Singapore,
Yeah,
but I know that now that things are kind of opening up or whatever, they really want to get out to Korea. Um, Maybe he would be like when they got at least a fight night type deal. Um, Maybe he would be a guy. Um, but like, you really want Calvin Cater to
shit. Yeah,
do
man.
that to him in his hometown?
Yeah, no.
No. So I think he needs to go home and be a family man, dude. That's sad. I mean, he's not gonna lose. He's gonna make more money.
Hmm.
He's got what energy drink. He's got like the biggest YouTube channel. He's
Korean
got
Zombie is
like,
also one of those guys who I could really see the UFC taking care of him in retirement
yeah, they
and
should
giving him one of those Forrest Griffin type jobs where it's
absolutely.
like, dude, just be an
He's an
ambassador for
ambassador.
yeah.
Very well said, dude. Yeah, he should.
If he
Which they
decides
won't, because it's kind of scumbaggy over there. But like you and I are
mhm,
like kind-hearted people who would be like,
who have
like
ethics and morals,
he's like touched our hearts in ways that you can't even imagine. Like,
yeah,
please give him some type of like. I think Dana will do right by him. I mean, he's
I would hope
low
so.
key. You do actually hear stories about Dana taking care of guys like
Yeah.
off the books. So
Yeah,
if he
yeah. I
needs
mean,
to,
we could definitely sit here and play. and be super critical of Dana and all that stuff. We can look at it from a lot of different angles too. The fighter pay angle. It's not a conversation we ever really want to have. We don't want to get political on this podcast too, but I don't agree with him politically.
Yeah.
But Dana has definitely, like, if you can, if on a personal level, you can tell that Dana wants to take care of people. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
he's there's far worse guys that you could end up having to deal with than Dana White.
Right.
Unless you're in a really heated contract dispute, then he could be a pretty
Right.
bad
Then you kind of
hombre.
want to steer clear.
Korean Zombie, if he decides that he wants to stick around for maybe one more and says that's going to be his retirement fight, I would like to see him run the Yair Rodriguez fight back. They're both 5-6. But he was winning that fight until that
was.
elbow,
But
dude.
Yair's gotten a little. I think
Yeah, his head movement
there
is
was
really
like
gone.
there was like an arc to Yair's career around that time where everyone was where he got real butthurt. Remember that? He was like real butthurt by the way people were talking about him. What people
Biggest
thought
mistake of your
him.
fucking life.
Yeah, he got real butthurt, and he's, to his credit, has turned it around to where he's like, okay, dude, you were right. Like, cause some guys take that route, and then they either continue to win, but they win kind of itch, or
Mm-hmm.
they take the route he is, and he's gotten more violent. He's gotten a lot more fucking violent, and he's a violent motherfucker. So he's gotten a lot more violent and a lot better since that whole situation went down. When was that? Was like 3 years ago, right, or something?
It's been a while. Pantera's so inactive. That's the tough
Yeah,
part,
that's the thing that sucks about it.
It
He's
was
always hurt.
It was Jeremy Stevens
Yeah,
that it was in 2019 when he got into all that with Jeremy Stevens,
yeah,
where they had the no contest because of the eye poke, and then he
yeah.
was
And then
like
he was,
going in on Jeremy Stevens for not continuing to fight with a clearly fucked up eye and calling him
yeah,
a pussy and stuff, and it's like
yeah,
it was a bad look for a little bit. And I mean,
right.
man, yeah, he didn't fight at all in 2020. He went from 2019 to 2021. He hasn't competed since November of 2021. That fight against Max
He must
Holloway.
have said the wrong thing, like in a meeting or on a call to like the matchmakers.
Oh well, remember he was they were unable to track him down. USADA.
Yeah,
That was a problem where
yeah,
like they kept on trying to show up to test him, and he wasn't where he was like reporting that he was going to be and stuff. And I think it was really just unprofessionalism. I don't think that it wasn't something that like
immature.
it wasn't like ringing any alarms for me, thinking like, oh, he's dirty or anything like that. But it's
No,
like,
no,
bro,
not
like
like
get
that.
your
But it's
career
like, come
together.
on now. Every now and then, guys, they kind of, and it's fighting, so it is what it is. They kind
Yeah.
of like veer, and you're just like, whoa, you're kind of off the rails there. Like, let's.
Mm.
But to
Oh
his credit, he's back on, and he's a fucking legit title contender. Yeah, and he looks good every time he fights, if
yeah.
and when he fights.
Absolutely. And that first round of his fight with Max Holloway, the first couple rounds, I was in awe of his head movement. His head movement
Yeah,
looked incredible. And eventually, he started to tire out and the punches started to
right.
build up and he wasn't looking so great later on. But conversation for another day. Brandon, let's talk about the fight that had a lot of people forgetting that there was still two more fights left on the card, two title fights, in fact.
Yep.
Hamzat Chimaev gets the decision over Gilbert Burns in a hard fought win where honestly I feel like they answered a lot of questions that we had about Hamzat Chimaev going into this fight.
Yeah.
There was a lot of there was really really good money to be made if you had Hamzat by decision. Surprisingly, because he was like coming in as a heavy favorite over everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
over Burns. But Gilbert Burns being the undeniable like number two guy of this division, arguably possibly number three, depending on how you think about Colby's position in this division. What were your biggest takeaways from this Chimaev performance?
That I hate sports media. I hate forum and Instagram comment culture because now they want to say like, what the fuck,
Exposed.
and why wasn't oh and oh why
Mm,
wasn't he bro? He's 27 years old. He's been doing MMA for 4 years.
yeah.
And he just fucking got fight of the year against the number two overall fighter in his division, and it was because he just didn't. If he really wanted to wrestle fuck Gilbert Burns, like if he really wanted to, and there was a point in that round in that fight where you looked at it and you thought like if he continued, it's like it was a weird thing for me because he had him down, and I don't know if you saw this too, but he did that drag where he like goes, "You're over here, I want you here," and he fucking. We talk about it, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, all world Gilbert Burns. I want you here. And he did it. And it looked like fucking, like when you watch National Geographic and then the animal drags the fucking other animal.
Right.
Like it had that because the way his shoulders were, it just looked evil. Like if you see the silhouette of it, you look like those are like bad intentions on
What's
that.
going on there? Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, so like if you see that across the room, you're like, what the fuck? But he was like, but again, so and what I was gonna say earlier was, and I'm sorry if you had a question, but I had in the like preview to this our last episode, I had said, so what about Gilbert Burns? So what about his Brazilian Jiu Jitsu? So what? That doesn't matter. Blah, blah. It did matter because he did drag him over and pull him in front of him, but he got out of a lot of ground and pound.
Mhm.
He was able to control arms, legs, hips, um, positions because he's such a good Brazilian. So I personally have to hand up and say like, yeah, you're an idiot. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about, Brandon, because his just because he wasn't doing a fucking Americana or a fucking Demetrius Johnson fucking flying
Mhm.
armbar doesn't mean that all of that Brazilian doesn't help him. It definitely helped him
It definitely
getting
did.
out of some really tough ground and pound positions and controlling the other guy's body. So I have to kind of take a step back and say like I was wrong in that. You know?
I I'll do the same thing too. I'll eat that humble pie all day
Yeah.
because it really did look like it was potentially going to be another Hamzat Shemaev type of performance when he started going
Right.
for takedowns, and they looked like they were coming easily, and he was really working for control and trying to get good position. But there was a sense that Hamzat Shemaev felt something in Gilbert Burns that he hasn't felt from other guys in MMA before on the ground
Right.
specifically, because there's a reason that this fight played out on the feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it might, like you said, he may not have been going for hanging off of Shemaev's arm, looking for a key lock or an Americana, or
Yeah.
like trying to choke him out. But I think he felt that that competence in Gilbert Burns' grappling game, and
Yeah.
decided, okay, maybe I use my height and my reach advantage, which 4 inches on both, to try
Yeah.
and put this guy away on the feet. And I think that's where a lot of the questions got answered. I
Right.
mean, there was questions answered in all facets of this game. Like, what
Right.
does a guy with Gilbert Burns' is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu acumen do to a guy like Hamzat Shemaev? And we learned that okay, it makes him decide, fuck it, we're gonna stand. Can Hamzat
Yes.
Shemaev take a punch? He can. He took many
Dude,
clean fucking punches. He's
he
got a
took
chin.
fucking video game like like he fucking took charge. Like Gilbert put two hands and like let go at the last, and then he just went "Phew," and he took it, and then he goes fuck, like okay. But I think it's oh man, he took some fucking and then two, like one thing I was saying, like in the beginning of the fight, this is one I watched again today on the treadmill. Like I was watching this one the second time, and last night my takeaway was like, dang, he needs to get better at game planning this because
Mm,
he could wrestle anyone in the. Because there was moments where you saw him, like we said, fucking dragged him like a wild animal to put him in the position he wants. He Gilbert tried takedowns and couldn't even move his leg. Like his leg was kind of planned. Gilbert went for the leg. The leg didn't move like
mhm.
an inch, and like
Yeah,
Gilbert's very strong,
and
and he
it
couldn't
wasn't.
move his fucking
Yeah, and that
yeah
wasn't a bad takedown shot or anything. It wasn't
yeah
because of Gilbert doing anything bad in his,
wrong. It's just that guy's. You're not gonna do it to that guy. Like he didn't even move. He's just like, okay, yeah, okay, and so I was like, whoa, like that's pretty crazy. But one thing you do where he is paying attention and he is watching was that southpaw right jab.
exactly. Yeah,
That's the one that Usman got him with, um, and uh, and you can tell they maybe his corner was like, hey, that's gonna work for you, because maybe like I don't know. I think we had talked. Did we talk about Usman Burns? Was that one in our series since we've been doing it? I don't
no,
remember.
no.
I don't know if it was personally you and I've talked about it or on the
I,
pod, but
well, I know we haven't talked about it on the pod. I don't know if we've discussed it like just as friends, but
yeah, but like that was one where we talked about the subject of working together in camp and
oh yeah, yeah,
how that affects. So Usman worked with Burns is like I for some reason I can get him with that that
Mm-hmm.
southpaw right jab.
Mm-hmm.
I can get him with that, and he did. And then Hamza was like, "Whoa, remember when he fought Usman that southpaw right jab?" So and then he got because that was a fucking dude. I went 6 to midnight, dude, on that fucking jab. That I was like, "Whoa,"
Yeah.
because when they switched to southpaw and they fucking worked that jab as a straight instead, like it's like kind of like a funky straight right.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good punch, and
Mm-hmm.
it got Burns. So Burns is like southpaw jab blind maybe, and Usman did it, and good kudos to Chimaev for seeing that that's something that works.
Picking up on that in someone else's fight, yeah, watching
Yeah,
tape and being a student of the game.
you could tell he did.
One thing that got me really excited about Chimaev's performance also too is like, and that plays a part of it also is his adaptability.
Right.
Because one thing that I also value is seeing a guy get into a little bit of trouble and finally get some pushback, and how are they going to react to that. There was a moment in round two after Gilbert Burns had a bit of a volley and and swarmed on him a bit, where my totally legal and paid for stream had actually decided it was going to catch up by like 20 seconds, so I missed most of that. But I know that he had
Fucking ESPN.
yeah, I know he had Shemaev reeling for a little bit, and there was a point where I saw it in Shemaev's face where it's like he had that realization. I was like, "Fuck, I've already used all my tricks on him. Like all
Yeah,
I have in the stand up, I've already shown it to him, and he's still
yeah,
coming at me." So like there was a bit of like I felt like I picked up on a bit of nervousness. It was like, okay, this guy's taking me
yeah.
to a new place, and he still pulled through and managed to get it done,
Right.
and like pull other tricks out of the hat. But yeah, I think what makes it exciting is that now we have an opportunity to see where Hamzat Shemaev has to grow, because he's
Yeah,
clearly needs work in the stand up, as he should. Like he hasn't been striking for very long, so like obviously like he's
yeah.
not going to be
Three
this
years,
crazy
right?
dynamic striker. Yeah.
He's been striking for 3 years, and he just went and beat the number two fucking guy in his division.
And
Like
without
it's
controversy,
so
in my
cool.
opinion, like it was a
Yeah, no,
clean
I don't
win.
want to hear it. Yeah,
Yeah.
come on. And it's even crazier. And like the one thing that you hope is that he see it because like I think a lot of people lose sight of it, but like Israel Adesanya is on camera getting knocked the fuck out, needing a stretcher and oxygen to get out of a ring not that long ago. And the guy that did it fights in his division
Hmm.
and is like on his way up, right? He's lost to Jan Blachowicz. There's it's on tape that some people think the best fighter on the planet has been handled.
Hmm.
Volkanovski got head kicked and knocked out. Um, you know, it's never really happened to John Jones, um, but there's been times where GSP got humbled by Matt Serra.
Oh yeah.
Like there's things that happen where then it like puts their careers in the. I guarantee you, dude, fucking Volkanovski wakes up thinking about getting head kicked in another promotion. Like that
Oh
guy
yeah.
fucking got me. I guarantee you, Israel Adesanya runs a little bit fucking harder thinking about Pereira knocking him the fuck out.
Good point.
I
Yeah.
guarantee you. So you hope that he's like, which is scary because like this was fight of the night when there's things like real simple things he can do to where that doesn't happen. He's on the career trajectory to where guys his age and with his fight experience are normally figuring shit like this out in fucking Nantucket or fucking Ohio fight nights where they're
Mm-hmm.
like fighting against a number 15 guy. He just did it in a pay-per-view against Gilbert Burns. So
On
is
the
he gonna
biggest
learn
stage.
about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, is he gonna learn about it and be like, fuck, like this can't happen again? Or is he gonna be like, it doesn't matter, brother. I fucking do it.
Dang.
I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I need to fucking do, and I'm just gonna go out and win because that's me. So does he need to fuck? What is he gonna do?
That's a good point,
So
man.
yeah,
And yeah, like it's one of those deals where it's like you didn't eat a loss, but we know he didn't want that fight to go to decision. And when
yeah,
we
you're
know that
losing a very good
Hamzat
fight.
knows like where he needs to work now, where he's felt that power. So
Yeah,
um yeah, I think you're right. Like he's probably more of like I can't let this go to decision again, brother. So what have we not talked about yet? We'll do a quick shout out, a quick mention to Alexei Olenek getting his 60th fight
oh man,
and I think it was crazy how they were mentioning that when he debuted in mixed martial arts or made his professional debut. Like Kay Hansen and somebody else on the card hadn't even been born yet,
Yeah.
and now they're like fighting on the same
Yeah.
card together, and he's
I've
getting
seen that.
wins.
What's crazy is that you don't realize how many times you've seen him fight.
Hmm.
Just like turn it on when they used to do like Thursday night fights, or when they used to do the ones on Fox, or like he was always in there. He was always fighting, and you always saw him. So he's been he's him and Orlovsky are those are those guys that you just tip your hat to. Like, God damn, you guys are some real motherfuckers.
Relics, and let's talk. I'm gonna let's take a little trip down victory lane and look at some of the guys that he's fought. Um, some of the standout names: he fought Derek Lewis, Verdum, Overeem, Mark Hunt, Curtis Blades, Travis Brown,
Uh,
Crow Cop. Ah.
I just always think of those memes that Lewis used to do. Remember, like it was like their anniversary pictures, and then Lewis is in the back, like in behind a tree.
You know what's funny? When Derek Lewis knocked out Travis Brown at that time, it actually didn't occur to me that Travis Brown was with Ronda Rousey. Like that flew
Yeah,
under my radar. I didn't know they were together.
yeah.
So after he beat him
You
and he
saw the
said,
meme.
"Where's Ronda Rousey fine ass at?" Like it didn't click to me. It's like, yo, you cannot say that about a guy who you just
That
knocked out's
was
girlfriend. Like
I would love to go back to that time on Earth. Just that time on Earth. Life was so good, dude.
it was so simple.
Life was so fucking good, dude. And that we could just go back to that when he was trying to bang Ronda Rousey.
So yeah, man. Shout out to Alexei Olenek. It's
And
actually
Derek
pretty
Lewis's Instagram.
pretty remarkable that he's still doing it this late in the game, man.
Yeah, man, he's amazing.
Um, and then unrelated to UFC 273, but obviously I got to talk about it. I'm so happy to fucking finally
You
report
gotta
that
fly out there, dog.
Joanna Jędrzejczyk has a fucking fight booked. They're gonna run it back. They're gonna do the rematch with Zhang Weili, and this time it's gonna be in Singapore. A little bit sad that I mean I'm not gonna fucking go to Singapore. If it was in Vegas, I would like be all about it and I would be there. But
Don't
now
dude, don't put it in you. Put it out there. Put out the energy. We need to go. We should do a GoFundMe. Send Kenny to Singapore.
if you want to do a
And just
GoFundMe, here's the thing though. I'm really scared about what it's gonna do for my confidence, the blow to my ego. If we only get like $5, and I'm gonna be thinking like, man,
yeah,
do I really have any fucking friends in this world? Like,
yeah.
so yeah, I don't know if I want that reality check where it's like, oh man, people really don't care about you, Kenny. No,
Yeah,
it's
that's
okay.
that
Obviously,
the
I
false
wouldn't.
hope of like, no, people like us. They're like, it only says 13 views, but like, I guarantee you, like, something's off with the algorithm.
Mhm, yeah,
Like,
the only the only reason I don't put myself out there more in life isn't because I don't think highly of other people. I'm worried that they don't think
yeah,
highly of me.
exactly.
But yeah, that's the only fight that I wanted to see for her coming back. Like I thought
Right.
I think that's a fight that a lot of people want to see.
Mhm.
I already saw some people in comments complaining like, oh, she needs to fight further down the division, and I would love to see her fight anybody in that division. And that's because I'm confident that she would beat most of them. I think, ironically, as much as we were kind of shitting on her in this episode, I would be a little bit worried about a Mackenzie Dern fight. Because obviously, you know what I mean. There's that present danger, but her I think Joanna Jędrzejczyk, until she fought Valentina Shevchenko, probably had the best takedown defense stats in the entire division and
She
in
won't
all
lose
of
against Mackenzie Dern.
WMMA.
The only
Yeah, I don't
present
think
danger
Mackenzie
she
Dern
has
gets it
against
down.
Mackenzie Dern would be losing robbery.
It's true. Yeah, I'm not too worried about Mackenzie Dern getting her down, to be honest.
Sorry,
But
dude. I'm fucking so bad.
but they're gonna run that fight. And here's what I'm wondering, and this is something that the media was asking Dana White the post fight presser last night too, is that going to be a 3-round fight or is it going to
Yeah.
be a 5-round fight? Because it's on UFC 275 that's already turning out to be a stacked card with Glover Teixeira and Yuri Prohashka, Valentina Shevchenko and Tyler Santos, and also Bobby Knuckles versus what's his name? Our Italian buddy. I'm blanking on his
Marvin.
name. Marvin Vittori. So I mean, those are big fights to have to be on the card with. Like, do they bust Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler and open the card with Joanna and Zhang Weili? Do they
Five
make
rounder
her?
to open it up.
I am. You mentioned
Kenny
that.
doing mop up work the rest of the night, just running to the bathroom.
You mentioned that you think that Joanna takes that fight easy if it's a 3 rounder.
I think so.
It's
But
interesting.
the longer it's been since she's fought, though,
Hmm.
because she's super professional. She has so much experience. But it does, like, the longer you're out, the you're not getting. And I'm sure she's training hard and doing. She knows what she needs to do to train and
But
get into
certainly not
shape
fight
and stuff.
camps, though. Yeah,
Yeah, but a fight camp training is a lot
it's
different.
different.
So she does do a lot of in Poland. She does do a lot of like media coverage and shows, and she's selling things and stuff. So like how disconnected is she really
Spinning a
from?
lot of plates, yeah, and
Yeah,
she's got good people around her. Another thing I'm curious about too, given that that fight's going to happen in Singapore, are they going to do that on a delay? Are they going to
yeah.
fight at regular time in Singapore, and that
They're gonna
those
make
fights
the
are going to
people
be?
in Singapore fucking get up at 11:30.
I think they might, dude, because I know when they went to Shenzhen, when Zhang Wei Li fought Jessica Andrade, and when she first won the
Right.
title, they had that fight was at like 3 in the morning. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then they just played it over here on a tape delay. But that was a ESPN card. This
Yeah.
is a numbered pay per view with 2 title fights on it. So it's hard to imagine that they would decide like, oh, we're just going to make this card free because it's going to be on at the middle of the night or something like that. So
Yeah.
that's a tough one. I don't know if I'm going to be up in the wee hours of the morning, like watching, because obviously I can't go to sleep, like
We were
knowing,
just talking about this, like
yeah,
how does the European market deal with it? And we're like,
I
we
don't know
don't
how they
care.
do with it,
And then
man.
now it's like, what the fuck?
I think there's another really interesting, and I mean, I'm fucking burying all my talking points that to make later on when this fight is actually going to happen. We're doing our pre-show,
Yeah.
but they're going to be surrounded by some different people this time.
Yeah.
Zhang Wei Li's training with Henry Cejudo, and that team is growing. He's quietly growing like one of the best teams in the Southwest. But she's gonna Zhang Wei Li's going to be putting in rounds with Henry Cejudo and Davison Figueiredo. Over at American Top Team, I've seen that Joanna Jędrzejczyk is actually getting some sparring rounds in with Alexandre Pantoja and
Yeah.
Adriano Moraes, the one flyweight champ who beat Mighty Mouse. So, like, I'm really curious to see what those kind of personnel around both of those fighters are going to do for that rematch. Super
Right.
excited, man. It's going to be fireworks.
It's gonna be good, man. That's a good fight.
Yep. So, I don't know if there was anything else, any of the unrelated stuff to the card that we haven't covered on, but I think we're pretty close
Not
to being able to
really.
put a bow on it there, man. Good
Just
episode.
that friendship over with Kobe, new friendship made with Gilbert Burns.
Yo, a lot of people are talking about. Oh yeah, long live Gilbert Burns. Like I said in our chat, like he has the corner market. He has the market cornered on wearing
He
his
ended.
his country's flag as a headband.
Kobe can never wear the American flag around his forehead again.
A lot of people are I'm seeing in some of the comment sections on some of the MMA pages that I follow on Instagram. They're saying that Khamzat Shemaev was exposed. Um, and yeah, and I'm like, what are we talking about exposed here? Like it
Our
sounds like
culture is so
his
like
bandwagon
goldfish. It's so
jumpers.
goldfish, but it's in network 24-hour news cycle does it to people
Mm,
because and then people like you're projecting this weird understanding of this sport onto him,
yeah,
and it's not Hamzat's fault that he's that good, and he likes it, so he obviously plays up his I'm this monster, but I people were projecting, and it's so weird how you go back. It's even more. It was even if he would have just picked Gilbert Burns up, dumped him on his head, and ground and pounded him into a tap or two strikes or stoppage, I wouldn't have been as impressed as I was with this one
mm,
because you can see like okay there because everyone has holes. I don't give a fuck what you say.
mm.
Everybody has fucking holes,
Oh, for sure.
and
Khamzat
the
Shemaev has
hole.
big ones. He's just really
Yeah,
good at what he does well.
yeah, and then but the ones that he does have, that because he's only been striking for 3 years. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe move your head off the spot because you keep your head on the spot like that, and Kamaru Usman's gonna take it off.
Head
So
movement.
maybe move your head. maybe watch how Alexander Volkanovski keeps his hands up and returns his hands back to his jawline when after he's done punching. Maybe watch how people do that. That's not hard to do, and that's kind of like what you learn in the progression with fights and training. What to do? Like I'm sure Volkanovski didn't get to where he was looking last night on his first fight, right? So if he can, continue to do that, maybe, and like what the thing that like the one thing he can do, which again, dude, I always do this, but I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But the one thing I notice is like his like using his reach and keeping his distance. The way he kept himself in that so that Gilbert could hit him with those punches. Why like and then he like swung with that uppercut, and then he kept himself right there, and then Gilbert just came over the top. So it's like you need to learn how to gauge distance, dude, a little bit better. And maybe that's just because he hadn't only fought for 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's arguable that like
yeah,
most of the success that Gilbert Burns had was when he was able when Chimaev allowed himself to get sucked into a brawl.
yeah,
When he was
yeah,
like having a more measured fight with Burns, as actually probably when he was doing a lot better, when he was like
right,
being patient and using his height and his reach advantage.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
But no, he did. He what? It sounds crazy. It sounds insane after seeing him get hit, seeing him get rocked. But he got rocked. He took that was Gilbert Burns' career defining. I think as far as like output of how good he's looked in a fight, that's the top 3 fight of Gilbert Burns' life.
yeah,
And he just took that and he won.
it's going to rewrite his legacy, and we have to remember
Yeah,
too. And this is actually going back to what I was saying about people saying that Hamzat was exposed. My immediate thought goes to like, well, these are people who have only seen Gilbert Burns lose to Kamaru Usman.
right.
Like
Yeah,
you're being a casual. You probably have probably seen like 2 Gilbert Burns fights, and one of them was him
right.
losing to Kamaru. So you're right. Like it shouldn't be that legacy defining because of all the great fights and all that he's accomplished, but at the end of the day, like this is probably the most eyes that Gilbert Burns has had on him for any of his fights. Surprisingly,
Yeah,
this could have been a main event fight on almost any other card, but just the fact
yeah.
that you're fighting behind a title, 2 title fights, like you're gonna have
And
to
which
step
one is
aside.
it? Is it Hamzat got exposed? Is Gilbert that good? You can't have one without the other. You can't. If Gilbert's that good, then it really wasn't being exposed. It's just
No,
he fought a good guy. If he was getting exposed, Gilbert can't be that good.
and
Which one is it?
it's
It
people.
can be a little bit of,
Yeah,
it's nuance.
it's people who can't process that. Like, oh, what do you mean Hamzat's not perfect? Like, yeah, it's normal. It's normal to find out like
Yeah.
he
And Tiger Woods,
and dude,
like, yeah,
future opponents of Hamzat Chimaev are rejoicing right now because there's actually fucking tape to study on him now. Because
yeah.
before he was just going in there and smoking dudes. Like, what do you
But
have to go
I
off of?
hope Kobe's stupid enough to watch that and be like, I'll take him. I'll take him.
We good. Thank you for bringing that up. I was about to forget that Dana White pretty much had already said like, hey, if Hamzat wins, we're looking at Colby versus Hamzat. Great fight. I think this is my like favorite scenario because I picked Hamzat, but I was rooting for Gilbert Burns. And I was thinking, like, dude, if Gilbert can pull this off, like, fuck, so good for him, man. But
Yeah,
I am really, really happy that sounds like, because also I was worried for Leon Edwards. Because if Leon Edwards
yeah.
hadn't finalized his fight with Kamaru Usman, like if there wasn't ink on paper, like fucking signed contracts, he was in some serious danger of getting leapfrogged
Gilbert
by if Gilbert or Hamzat
If
had
Gilbert
like
wins that fight last night, he deserves a title shot.
the most
I
surging
believe.
contender.
The
Yeah,
way it went out through the whole 3 rounds, and then if he gets like a late knockout, why couldn't he have? Well, he should definitely fight for the title again.
yeah,
Why not? He should.
and
Go. He's gonna have another 8 months.
yeah.
So,
And Hamzat just like fought the fight and won with enough attrition, and it was a split decision. That's another thing too. Like we're forgetting, like it's a split, like it's one of 2 split decisions on the card. So like Hamzat fighting, putting on a great performance, showing that he's legit, he belongs there in the top 5, but not exactly putting on that dominating performance was just enough for people to say like, okay, maybe we shouldn't put him in there with
right.
Kamaru Usman yet. So,
Yeah.
dude, a Colby matchup. I'm kind of wondering where Colby's head's at regarding this, if he wants to sign, because he's already really gone hard in calling out Dustin Poirier and wanting to chase that fight. I mean, I know it's easy for me as a Colby hater to sit here and be like, he's going to try and duck him. But if Colby wants any shot at a third fight with Kamaru Usman, and I had to imagine that he does want that. He has to know that this is the fastest way to potentially get it.
If Gilbert Burns did it, if no one see now Gilbert killed it for everybody because no one can play the like I don't have to fight him.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't done anything. I don't have to fight him. And everyone has to fight him now. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? There's no, there's no, you know, fucking way around it. And hopefully Gilbert gets to fight like the winner of Luque and Bilal Muhammad.
He
That'd
won't.
be
I don't
good.
think. I don't think he'll fight Luque. I think Bilal is probably the fight to go because he's teammates with Luque. So I don't.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if they're like full time teammates, but they're close enough that I'm hard to
He fought
imagine that fight
Usman, huh?
happening. That's true. Yeah. Fuck. Best point you could make right there. Yeah. It's a good
Yeah.
point. I mean,
Or I
I
mean,
don't know if
who
about.
else?
I don't know
Dur-
enough about
Durden's
Luque
fight
personally, but
Masvidal. You need to kick the shit out of Jorge Masvidal.
what's gonna happen with Jorge Masvidal, man? That's one for another episode.
Yeah.
I think we can call it there, man. Great episode, great energy.
Yep. Yep.
Didn't even have to do a proper intro because you came in fired up
I'm still mad.
about the Mackenzie
I'm going to
Dern
leave. I'm going to go
thing.
yell at my wife right now. You remember those fucking whores I was watching last night when you were trying to go to sleep and they were talking about Megaton?
Fucking Megaton.
I was telling Kenny right now. I was telling him right now.
Yeah, Joe Rogan was really swinging from some nuts on that fight,
I,
man.
I turned down the volume for the rest of the fight,
Mm.
for the rest of the card. When he talks, there's just certain fighters he does it to. Thank God DC wasn't there
Yeah.
because DC and Rogan talking about Mackenzie Dern, and then DC doing one of Mackenzie Dern's accents, then Jesus Christ, I should die.
We'd be coming full circle at
Like
that point, man.
uh, they probably have done it. I guarantee there is video of it. But if DC has done a post fight with Mackenzie Dern, if you want to get me enraged to go, like they're like, you have to go save your daughter. I'm like, let me see Mackenzie Dern and DC do an interview real quick, and then I'll be ready to go fucking do it, dude. Like, that shit's fucking.
DC's pretty bad, man. DC's. I didn't watch it. It was the day of Mike's wedding, but I heard that after the Curtis Blades fight, Curtis Blades. Who did he call out initially? Did he call out Cyril Gane or did he call out? I don't remember who he called out, but I know that that it just went in one ear and out the other for Daniel Cormier, and he was like, "Well, what about Stipe? We got Stipe out here cage side. What do you think about a fight with Stipe?" And it's like, dog, he just called somebody out already. You know, don't step on his call out. Like, it's honestly, it's sadly, it's rare enough that we get a guy who has a name prepared to call somebody out after a fight, and then when we finally get someone who does it from someone who you don't expect it from either, because like Curtis Blades is normally not that kind of guy. You know what I mean? He's the I'll fight anybody kind of guy. You know what I mean? So he's making that kind of progress. And I mean, I'm starting to become endeared to Curtis Blades partially because of his speech impediment. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people were saying
guys
that.
Like Curtis Blades and Khalil Roundtree really like they kind of get you there because you're just like, dang, dog, like you guys did that shit. Like, good for you guys.
And I saw a lot of people in some of the comments of his post-fight press conference interview saying that Curtis Blades' speech impediment seems like it was getting better. I have to disagree. It sounded like it was worse. Maybe it's just because I'm more aware of it now. Yeah. But it doesn't matter. I'm not one of those fucking people that have been like, oh yeah, it got worse because of fighting or anything like that. Like that guy knows.
Today, Junior.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just think it's cool to have people like that who will I mean, he doesn't have any choice. He's in a fight where he has to speak, so it's like I can't call it brave, but it is at the same time. I don't know. I've come around on Curtis Blades a lot. I want good things for him.
Have speech impediments, dude, and like
I think of how shitty the mixed martial arts fan base is, and how shitty they can be to someone like that.
Fan base.
Yeah,
but also for as shitty as MMA, there are way more. Like if you look like I won't use football, like NBA fan bases, they're just brutal, dude. Like it just does not. They're just all little fucking snakes. They're all dirty. MMA, there's like people who are like, dude, what these guys do is fuck. I'm like kind of understand, and I can actually train. Like if you have enough money, you can go to Albuquerque and train at Jackson Wink, or you can actually go to to certain camps and kind of go, I'm not going to be able to work out with like
Hmm.
the Lakers, you know what I mean, or anywhere close to them.
That's true.
So like,
The
so I think
accessibility.
the image, so for as toxic as it can get, because of the casual angle where fighting is like sex, where like everyone thinks they're good at it, but in reality, you don't know fucking nothing about what you're fucking doing. So that kind of you get that, and I think people who've been humbled by either getting their ass beat or through training so much can kind of understand, like, dang, like this guy has a really crazy life experience he's gone through, and then trains through it, and then is thriving at the top level. So it's really huge kudos to him. I think there's a lot more fans in the MMA community that kind of understand that than in a lot of other sports.
Yeah, and it's a young sport too. I was just
Right.
thinking about this. Like, the UFC started in 1993, which is pretty much the birth of mixed martial arts. I've been watching since 2007 myself, so that's 15 years. And 14 years before that was when it started in 93. So I've been watching for a little, just over half of this sport's an entire lifespan. You know what I mean? I don't think
Yeah.
there's too many people walking around that could say, like, I've been watching for like most of the NFL's entire lifespan of like that
Yeah.
sport. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
You're
So,
not. I remember Jim Brown. Like, just like, get out of here, dude. You know.
exactly. All right, man. I will let you go. Fun episode. I will talk to you again. We will actually we'll get in the chat right away and start talking about like what non-numbered UFC event that we're
Yeah.
going to be doing an additional show for, because we should ramp it up. I have a feeling it's going to be quite a wait before we get to the next numbered pay per
Yeah,
view. And
we can maybe we can tie two into one, like do a two for one, where
good
like
idea.
we break down one that just happened and preview one that's coming up. Maybe we can do something like that.
That'd be great. Yeah, maybe hit some topical stuff or kind of like speak in the abstract about mixed martial arts or something, or talk about our history with the sport or when we got into it. Because I don't think,
Yeah.
I mean, some of the people who are listening to this know you, some of them know me. They might not know both of us or whatever, but yeah, we
Yeah.
don't have any background competing in this sport, so it might be worth talking
Yeah.
about like what got us into it or what fighters really like got
I
us
don't
into
even
this
think the
sport.
people that know me really know why I like it. They just must think I guarantee you, like they think I'm like a football. They wouldn't know, like, whoa, shit, like you you do like really care about this shit
Hmm.
a lot more. So,
Yep, we're not MAGA chuds, guys. All
no,
right, man.
no.
We'll put a bow on it, and I will speak to you soon, Brandon. Have a good rest of your Sunday, brother.
Kinsey Dern, go fuck yourself.
Go to hell. Die in a fire.